Hello and welcome to another episode of Wednesday Night Undressed. I am Lewis, your host. You can call me Lou. Everybody does. Tonight I am joined by Sofia, by
Yo.
Cassidy, by Andrei's maybe coming. We don't know that he's here yet or not. Fernando is here.
Hello.
Evo.
Hello.
Chris.
We.
My son, whose name escapes me right now. Julian.
Really?
And Meredith.
What up, though?
So, how you guys all doing tonight? Everybody's
I'm doing horrible.
Uh-oh.
I'm doing good.
What did I do?
Bro, get over your
Forgot
trauma.
my name.
Your trauma, dude.
It's
You'll have a
'cause you
therapist
were
later.
named after Mom's grandfather, not my grandfather.
I am around you for like 12 hours a day. And you forget. I've never forgotten your name.
We'll see about that. We'll check. We'll come back to that later. All right, we're going to start with the first question. Our first question is about happiness. I feel like there's not a lot of happiness in the world today. So I wanted to just maybe start off by asking the panel to tell me what they think of when they think of what it means to be happy. So I like the look on your face, Cass. What are you thinking?
Personally, it's like the feeling of happiness is when you're like hanging out with your friends, right? And then like you're laughing so hard that you can not breathe and you're like almost dying of not being able to breathe. I
So
would say that's happiness. Or anything that just makes you like, ha, that's funny.
So if somebody asked you, or I'm going to ask you right now, are you happy? Is it something that, how would you answer that question? I guess is maybe,
I would say, sure.
but you're not laughing so hard that you can't breathe.
Okay.
So is there something different about like right now versus what you described happiness as?
Well, I just said that like a little chuckle, like haha.
Oh, even just a little chuckle.
Yeah.
Do it. Okay.
I did.
And so we just made everybody at the table happy because they were just laughing at us. So I think that works.
I just have to
Okay.
say that I personally, there's two types of happiness. There's general happiness, and then there's I feel good right now. And I feel good right now is more defined as you're not sad. It's like right now.
Uh-huh.
I'm having a good day.
Right.
I'm sitting in a bar with my father, who forgot my name. We're just discussing questions and having a grand old time. And then there's general happiness, which is just like late night talks with your friends that go from politics to fast food restaurants. That just make you giggle. That make you like that make you chuckle.
Sorry, Julian just made Sophia lose it. No. I like it. I like the way you think. So generally, happiness is like those experiences that cause you to have like in that situation.
It's what makes my brain be like, huzzah!
Produce dopamine.
Did you really just,
That's-
according to my calculation, did you really?
Yeah.
Chris, what about you? What are you thinking? Are you happy? What does it mean to be happy?
Oh yeah, I'm happy. It's really interesting. So I was thinking one direction, and then Julian had his comments, and that kind of sent me off in another direction in terms of his general and kind of situational happiness. Kind of reminds me of the whole climate issue versus weather issue. I mean, there's, quote unquote climate happiness, just your general overall, this is my life, it's got its ups and downs, but, overall I'm pretty happy. And then there's those specific moments when, oh shoot, I hit something and I popped out 2 tires in my car, and now I'm going to spend the rest of the day, this is a terrible day, I'm not happy, but then the very next day, the car's fixed. It didn't cost as much as I thought. And, now I'm back out on the golf course. And, everything is really pretty much happy again. So, kind of for me, happiness is just being in control of my life. Being able to weather whatever fate throws at me. And so even in that, kind of the darkest, deepest, depressed times of my life, I'm still generally been happy because I've been able to, dig myself back out of it.
Interesting. So you can be happy while you're sad, is what you're saying.
Yes.
I like it. I can push back against it a little bit, but I think it's
Oh dear.
Could I add a quick note real quick?
Well, real quick.
So, you started mentioning climate change, and I really thought you were going to get political. And if you did, I was going to say, well, now we need to talk about fast food, and that could be the general happiness of today, as I stated before. So I'm kind of disappointed that you didn't, but at the same time, I'm happy that you didn't.
That's what we in the biz call a callback.
We have other
Mr.
political questions in the podcast today,
We
so
do.
I figured I'd keep it, light on this one.
Mr. Ivanov, what are your thoughts?
Well, to me, happiness is kind of a state of balance. So it's important to understand that happiness is not a steady state. We're constantly fluctuating. There isn't really, I don't know, anyone whose happiness curve is always ascending. It's always up and down, up and down, up and down. So I feel that it's important to stay in the moment when you sense that the moment is a happy moment. Just surrender to it. So when you wake up in the morning and you're healthy and you're alive and you take a deep breath and you stretch your toes and you start walking around and you're healthy, you're here, the people you love are healthy and still around. That should be enough to be happy. So many bizarre variables had to come together for you to even exist at this moment. Think about your parents having to meet at the right time, your grandparents having to meet so your parents later will meet. All of these things had to come together so you can be here. We need to cherish this, the fact that we are alive, the fact that we had the opportunity to participate in this universe, and be happy and enjoy it as much as possible, because inevitably the happiness curve will descend, and we will have a place in our lives where it will be very dark and very painful, and we're not going to be healthy, or people we love will not longer be here. So to me, it is very important to recognize happiness, embrace it, surrender to it, live inside that moment. And that's it. Homeostasis, balance. That's how I see it. In terms of general and specialized happiness, that's true as well. There's small moments of happiness, there are big intervals of happiness, but that's what I think. And there's, of course, we can talk about it for days. There's been so many self-help books, so many dissertations written on the topic. It's a very complex topic and very intricate, but this is as simple as I can kind of describe it.
So, if it's a state of balance, then what do you do if you find yourself out of balance?
So, you have to recognize, to me, what are the important variables that compose the so-called happiness. What are the important ones and what are the insignificant ones? Insignificant ones, let's say, is KU losing the game the other day. Hey, it's okay. That is not that important. The significant ones is your health, your loved ones, being healthy, being here. And it is up to you. It is up to every person to decide whether you're happy, because there's so many people that decide to not be happy. There's so many people that enjoy seeing a tunnel at the end of the light.
Or snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Exactly. And there are other people who always see the light in the tunnel, at the end of the tunnel. So it is up to it. It is a very personal decision, and it's very, very subjective. But I believe, people can be happy if they decide to be happy and if they recognize the environment of happiness. This moment right now, we should be happy. There's
Except for maybe Julian, because I forgot his name.
Well, yeah, there's 8 of us. There's 8 of us, friends, discussing stuff, having a drink, having a bite to eat, and this is a happy moment. There will be time where we will not be able to do this for one reason or another, but we need to enjoy this right now, and this is a moment of happiness. This moment right now is an answer to your question.
I agree. That was going to actually be my this is what I do to make myself happy. I surround myself with
Exactly.
wonderful people.
Yep.
And Meredith. And we all get together.
He didn't.
I'm glad I'm on this side of the
You're
table.
amazing. You're like more than wonderful.
Playboy. Go ahead. Say what you're gonna say.
No. Like,
It's cool.
quite
Just remember
honestly,
you get in the car with me on the way home.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. No. Quite honestly, like, I'm so happy that you and Cass have decided to, like, come and be a part of this. So,
You're such a wonderful person.
no. That's what I'm saying. That's
You
my
just
whole
don't like my
point.
mom, and that's okay.
That's my whole point. No, I love you guys, and I'm very glad that you guys have decided to join this. Meredith, I was picking on you because I'm going to pick you next.
Well, thank you so much for the lovely intro. I've never been so well introduced in my life. So there are literally actually two definitions of happy if you look up the word, and one is what these two children were referring to, which is being happy in the moment. I disagree with you, Evo, that there's a happiness curve, because that refers to the second definition, which is a sense of satisfaction, contentment, or balance. Kind of what you were talking about. I do believe that you can be happy always, period, end of sentence. I think it comes with finding a sense of self and a sense of understanding in the world and where your place is in the world. But I say this, like, as a person who suffers from depression and has written numerous poems about this very topic, I love my job. I love my daughter. I love my friends. I love my family. So no matter what happens to me in that day, there is a reason for me to be happy. And I say this knowing from experience, my father passed away 7 years ago. Next month it will be from cancer. And even before he died, I said this: cancer is a blessing and a curse, because it made me appreciate his last days with him all that much more. And I spent the time with him. And even as he was laying there dying, we were literally like partying in the nursing home with like some 70s rock and the whole 9 yards. And even at his funeral, my father, whom I love very much, I'm still happy to see all of the people who loved and appreciated him. So I think happy is I think of happy as that deeper sense of happy of I have had a good life. This man who all these people here loved was my father. This is like one of the saddest days of my entire life. But I still have had all of these great things that led to this moment. So I don't necessarily know that happiness is a curve. It just depends on how determined you are to find it.
I've seen you unhappy,
But I was still happy at the end of the day. I still had this little girl here at night.
but I've seen you when you weren't happy.
Oh, listen, but at the end of the day, I have been at the darkest places of my life where I was literally self-mutilating. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
So when you talk to me about not being happy, like, I know the dark side of happy, like,
Sure.
not happy.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't care how many bad days, how many people piss me off, whatever. At the end of the day, I'm happy still. Like, there's no reason for me to say that I'm not. Like, I may be going through some shit, but going through some shit is not going to change my inner sense of happy.
Okay.
So I'm going to push back on what
Push
you
back
said.
all the
Push,
hell
baby.
you
Push,
want.
baby.
For the same reason I push back on what Chris says. I think it's maybe because I agree, like, at a foundational level with you, Eva, that, like, your happiness level is at least in part determined by, like, the situation that you're in at the moment. And I think that, like, there's a difference between happy as in enjoying yourself and happy as in content. And I think that's what you said, right?
Yeah, that's literally, like, it's the definition. There's two different definitions. Yeah.
And I think you can be, like, discontent with your situation.
Well, when you're not happy about the other situation, I feel like you're referring to the first definition.
Mhm.
But what I'm talking about
It's
is
foundational
but
happiness. Like
there.
yours.
Yes, yeah. I'm talking about the second definition, which is like
General.
I just went through like 4 years of crap at work,
Yeah.
but it was worth it to me because I loved my job and I wasn't willing to walk away.
Huh.
So like. What I focus on is the second definition, which is a sense of satisfaction and contentment with my life.
Yeah, but I think that there are a lot of people that have the situational happiness, where, like, they can get together with their friends and
Yeah.
have a joke and so on. But they can be profoundly discontent with their life.
Yeah, that's the opposite.
Yeah.
But that's the problem
That's
with
the
our
first definition.
Uh-huh.
But that's the problem of an unhealthy soul, however. If you are discontented generally,
Right.
but you go out and party and mask that depression or whatever it is that you're feeling in your overall sense, as opposed to the day-to-day stuff that you're doing to mask that. That's kind of what I was talking about in terms of the general. And it ties into what Evo and Meredith were saying to me as well, because I think back to my the death of my grandfather, and profoundly sad. But I'm also thinking of, all the fishing trips he took me on, all the golf that he took me on. I'm watching all of my his friends and my family get together and tell all of these stories, hearing other stories about him that I hadn't heard in years. So I'm feeling sad, but I'm also feeling happy. I'm feeling, I don't like to use the word content, because I think that has kind of a different.
It's almost like satisfactory, not happy.
But maybe that's the problem. Maybe I think I'm picking up on what you're talking about.
Because you can be discontented and still incredibly happy.
Yes.
And, so it's not necessarily about contentment, because I can think of times when, I was going through learning math, and there were several times when, I didn't quite get what was being presented to me. And it,
Cassie will offer tutoring sessions.
I was almost depressed about it until I finally broke through, and I realized even during all those struggles trying to master it, I was happy, because it's a problem to solve.
Right.
And then
Yeah, it's interesting. Like Kurt Warner, the quarterback, twice MVP and a Super Bowl champion. He had a wild life. I mean, lots of ups and downs. He was he was stocking shelves at Hy-Vee in Des Moines, and then the next thing you know, he was quarterbacking the Cardinals and winning Super Bowls. He's lost his house in a tornado, and it's up and down, up and down, up and down. But he was always happy. He always claimed, that he has made the decision to be happy no matter the circumstances. And he said, when I was stocking shelves at Hy-Vee, I knew how much talent I have. I had a goal, and yet I was stocking shelves and I was happy. That story, by the way, is in my book called The Happiness Curve.
Right, yeah. You've written a full book on this topic.
Yeah.
Is this a whole entire advertisement for your book?
Yeah.
What's the name? It doesn't. Let's go to Amazon.
He said it was such a bestseller.
Fernando, we haven't heard from you yet.
Okay. So it's interesting, and I kind of it seems like happiness is a small state of mind, and it's funny like what really can bring you joy. Like one thing that for sure I can tell that's it doesn't matter how down or a little over stressed, not overwhelmed, stressed with whatever, could be work, could be family, could be health of someone you care. But moments like this, it's almost like I tell that I'm a bar addict, but it's just that joy, just to be sitting with friends, or could be in a restaurant too. And I tell that probably the thing that the less care is about the food, and then really hang out and really enjoy face to face and hear stories and tell stories, and going from deep conversation or goofy stuff. I think that's it's different. At the same time, you see, if you spend time in the nature, I can have a contemplation of nature, but I cannot tell that nature. On my deep end, I like to see the beauty of see the physics and the perfection of leaves and trees and flower and animals and air. But that I cannot tell that they bring happiness. I like to watch TV shows, but can I say that they really bring happiness? No. It's just the like a human experience. I think even traveling, I like to travel, but most of the time that I travel, I think most of the stuff that you spend time is more in logistics, and you get a 10% in joy, but then you break up what the joy really is. You'll be that person that you met on a corner, that interesting story you heard there, that it's just happy is an interesting thing. I don't know if anybody can say. I take my hat if people that tell when if they think they are really. I'm happy, like 90% of the time. Say, holy crap, good for you.
So, as Fernando's daughter, Sofia, does your notion of happiness match up with his?
I was really hoping you wouldn't get to me last because I'm a deeply unhappy person. I was like, man, this is gonna be a bummer
gotta
if he
agree to
calls on
disagree. I
me
don't think
last. But here we are.
Easy going.
Yeah. No,
So,
literally.
do you have anything that you do to make yourself happier?
I like playing with my cats. I don't know. Because they can't, I don't know. Because, I like hanging out with my friends, but when I'm, not feeling good, hanging out with my friends is just another, stressor. Sometimes it's I have to engage in a conversation and I can't, seem sad because then they're going to be like, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? And I don't want to talk about that. That's boring. When I hang out with my friends, I want to have fun.
Right.
But there's, I don't know, I have to, think through a lot of my social interactions, even with, the people I'm closest to. So, my cats are the easiest to hang out with because they don't really say anything. And, well, they meow, but they don't. They're not really saying anything.
So they love you unconditionally.
They
so.
do, yeah.
So here's why I want to push back on what you're saying. Yeah, well, you guys didn't know this is all about me.
Newsflash, bro. How many people actually suffer from depression at the table and know the difference?
So this is actually kind of what I want to talk about. So I have thought all of my life
High five.
that I was happy, right? I mean, I have struggled through the bad times, struggled through the good times, or prospered through the good times. But I have always considered myself to be a happy person.
You were probably wrong.
Then I had a psychedelic experience.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, here we go.
Already the quantifier here is bad.
No, what happened was, I got rid, during that experience, I got rid of all of the anxiety and all of the I don't even know how to describe it, sort of distrust that I had for myself. Not even...
You should have done hallucinogens sooner, bro.
Oh, fucking shit, right?
I mean, I did them when I was 18, so...
But here's the thing. I don't know that I was deluding myself before when I thought that I was happy, but it was after that, I saw a completely different way of looking at the world, and that has altered, my answer to the question of, are you happy? Because I've seen something that the
Yeah, you saw a lot of shit. Swirls, twirls.
Yes, but I also saw without the self-doubt and the interior voice that criticizes all the time. I just thought that was just kind of the way that people perceives life universally, and it just made a huge difference. So I would say now that I'm working to be happy, but I don't think I'm there yet. But I agree with you, Chris, in that I am happy to be working on it. It's a problem, and I like working on problems, if that makes sense.
So,
Yeah,
oh, go ahead. I'm so sorry.
And when I heard what you were saying there, what keyed off for me was you basically were shedding what your culture said was to make you happy, and now you are back down to looking for those things that you say make me happy, and that's really the big difference. That's why a lot of people are unhappy and uncontent, is because they've bought into this thing that's been sold to them that says this is how you're supposed to be, and if you do these things, this is a contented, happy life.
Yes.
And that's not true.
There was a book
Don't
I
buy the
read.
propaganda.
No. There's a book I read, and I wish I could have remembered exactly what book it is, but there's the scene in my mind is this Russian woman talking to the protagonist of the book.
Oh, that's a porn. That's a famous porn.
But she laughs at him at some point, and she says, "That's the problem with you Americans. You think you're supposed to be happy." And that didn't ring true until exactly what you said, Chris. Happiness isn't some goal in and of itself,
No.
or like some thing that you.
It's like what Joseph Campbell called following your bliss.
Yeah.
Didn't Confucius say you should feel like a room without a roof?
No, that was
Yeah.
Pharrell.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know about that.
Pharrell is 1,000 years old now. Shit.
Wait, was this?
It was.
What nationality was this girl?
See, I don't remember the book, but I distinctly remember that
Can
it
we
was
not?
a Russian woman talking
Sorry, I
to an
interrupted.
American.
Okay,
That's
well,
fine.
she should go hang out with her bears and drink some beers. Okay. Anyway,
But could-
things that make me happy
I-
personally is, I like speaking pig line. I like
Oh
hanging out
God,
with my
the rest of
friends.
us don't. It's not making me happy.
I like.
Sorry, hold on. I
I
want to
like
go back to Chris because Chris.
I
is-
interrupted him rudely. Confucius
I-
just flooded my mind.
I don't know. I'm
Pharrell.
kind of distracted. I don't remember exactly where I was going with my point, but it's the key to happiness is finding those things that you enjoy. That knowing that you're not always going to be happy, but as long as you have the ability to do things for yourself, then you're going to be okay. That the major unhappiness comes in when your heart is not doing those things that it wants to do.
Happiness is the truth.
Oh, stop it! Stop with the Pharrell lyrics. I did want to say something real fast to you because you talked about your hallucinogen happy experience,
right.
which, again, we're not suggesting that's what you all do to find inner peace. So, first, as a person who has also done numerous hallucinogens and told you exactly what to expect, is actually through hallucinogens that I realized that I was dealing with depression on a constant basis.
Yeah.
So, and I always knew I had anxiety, but I realized I was dealing with depression on top of that on a constant basis.
Yeah.
And so when I say like finding happiness and contentment, that is not something that happened until right after, like literally, I remember the day clearly when my father was diagnosed, and he fought for 3 years. So it was 10 years ago. And I walked by the bathroom and he told me that there was blood in his urine. And I went back to my bedroom. I remember this moment like specifically. And I sat down on my bed and I thought to myself, I hate my job. I'm depressed over the end of my relationship with your dad. Everything sucks. But like my dad's dying and like life is way too short. And in that moment, I made a conscious decision to chase my happiness. And the road was rocky, yes, but like to end at the result I got and now where I am, even with everything else that happens, that's what. So it's not like something that I was my whole life.
Gotcha. This is something that you attained.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's something I worked actively toward.
And that's the important part. Is something that you actively said, this is what I want to go get.
Yes, yeah.
You'd like to say something?
Oh, I was just wondering if you guys think that being too contemplative is destructive to happiness, because if you start thinking too much, you will come to the conclusion that life indeed is ridiculously short and there is no point of living because it will be over in a blink of an eye. And so do you think that maybe it's important not to think too much about our mortality and how finite things are, and just like I said, to me it's about just being inside that moment and just staying there and avoiding too much forward thinking? I don't know.
So, go ahead. Sorry.
I would just say I disagree with that. I think
I don't have faith. I'm sorry, but
I mean,
I don't have religion. So
I understand what you're saying. I mean,
Free of that burden.
and I've been at that point before where it seemed to be that, yeah, what's the whole point? Because it's
emptiness. The abyss is waiting.
It's going to take a long. I'm not famous now at this point. I'm not making lots of money. I didn't sleep with lots of women. By one standard, I was not a success. But by another standard, by my own standard, I am a success because I'm in a happy, healthy relationship with a beautiful woman who loves me dearly, which,
You're very popular here.
I have...
we love you
Is he
here.
though? Can we take a vote?
We love him.
I love you, Chris.
Thank
no
you.
matter
Lou.
what.
I love you too, Lou.
The ayahuasca.
I love you guys.
The hallucinogenic, the ayahuasca thing, I'm surprised because Lou, when he was there on that journey, he looked so stoic, and you couldn't tell what's happening behind, you know, behind the shell. What's happening? It's like he kicked ayahuasca's butt. You know, it's like it wasn't. I
I think it
couldn't
was the
see
other
it.
way around.
I think at the end, ayahuasca was taking Lewis because he was so confused of what's going on.
We gonna talk about that slap fight now? Because ayahuasca is the champion, okay?
So, Chris, I disagree with you because it's all about balance. What Evo said at the very freaking beginning of this whole thing.
Well,
Like, I think that you can absolutely be too contemplative. And for me, that was those negative voices that I was hearing in my head all the time since I was like 3 years old.
Mhm.
But in the absence of that pressure, being able to see the situation clearly, being able to be in a moment like this
Yeah.
and enjoy a moment like this, and to know that this is what makes me happy, like I have to have at least that level of clarity, of self
Yeah.
introspection and
Yeah.
self analysis.
Like a room without a roof.
I swear to God, Pharrell.
Andrei has just
The
joined
man,
us.
the myth, the legend.
So
Uh-oh.
I'm going to give you a copy of the questions here,
Here, baby. I got him right here.
and I'm going to give you just a second to look over them. But I'm going to tell you, we're probably only do one more question. It's probably going to be the slap fighting question. We need to talk about slap fighting. But right now we're talking about what makes a person happy. That's all the far as we've got. And Evo and I were just talking about like what makes me happy. So Chris, I don't know that when we talked to you earlier that we actually got what makes you happy. We got like a definition of happiness. But what makes you happy?
Petting my cats.
You like to play with your pussies?
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
I couldn't help it.
Oh
It
my
was
God.
right there. It was right there. It was on the table.
You kind of
I-
listed it. Your beautiful wife, your friends, yeah.
I am a cisgendered heteronormish male, so yes.
Heteronormish.
Got that ish.
You got a little ish on the end there.
There's
You've been
always-
looking at my butt, haven't you, Chris? I can tell.
Yeah, don't tell Nana.
Don't tell Lynn.
All kinds of things make me happy. I mean, like I said, I can sit on my back porch and stare and be perfectly happy. I like taking walks, either just around the neighborhood or nice hikes in the mountains make me happy. Listening to heavy metal music makes me happy. Doing woodworking makes me happy.
I got just a really quick side note. Like, has there been any good heavy metal since like
Ever.
95?
Oh yeah,
I was gonna go with that. Alright, okay.
Mastodon, the Sword.
Okay, Mastodon.
Okay, we're like pulling out so hard in here right now. Please stop.
So that's a good point.
So I was saying the other day to the
Have you guys done the thing on Thanksgiving where you kind of remember all the little things that made you happy in the past year? So
Saying
it's
thanks,
usually the little things, like Chris said, the little things. Just getting a cup of coffee in the morning, or talking to somebody at the store, or a smile of a stranger on the street. Those things we tend to not notice them, but the sum of the little things make the composite big happiness. And you have to pay attention to them. Writing them down once a year actually kind of helps. I do that on Thanksgiving. Write down those little things that have happened that made me happy. So.
And that brings up another point too from Evo's. Another thing that makes me happy is sacrifice. I like pulling off the accelerator if I'm on the highway and there's somebody who wants to merge onto the highway. I'll slow down, let them on.
You're a
If
saint, my friend.
if
You're a
I'm
fucking
walking
saint.
into a building and there's someone behind me, I hold the door open for them.
God, I thought he was going to go into a
No,
very
I mean,
dark
I really
place.
meant that driving
When he
thing. I
said
really did mean that
sacrifice.
driving thing.
It was like, what kind of cult he's the guy in?
So I have seen Julian try to get my attention and seen Cassidy try to get my attention. I'm going to start with Julian. I'm going to go to you, and then I'm going to ask you, Andrei, what makes you happy, and what does it mean to be happy? All right, Jules, you
I
go
got a
first.
couple things here.
Uh-huh.
First of all, so I have this funny little saying that if if everybody agrees on something, I have to be the opposite voice in the room, no matter what it is. And I would just like to say,
I disagreed, just to be clear.
yeah,
I was the devil's advocate already. Don't
Exactly.
believe
So, like, in one of my classes, one of my classmates was not feeling that good about themselves. And everybody's like, oh, you're a lovely person. And I just had to chime in. I said, just to add another voice, I really don't like you as a person.
Nice.
Just because. And I would just like to think, I think Meredith is that voice in my head. I think
That is
I
Nice.
think that might just be what it is.
I will admit I do dissent, simply to dissent.
Exactly. And also, I'll tell you guys something that makes me happy and something that doesn't make me happy. Something that makes me happy is I really like mind games because I'm just like that.
You're sinister.
One could say I have a little
He's a
bit of
happy villain.
some little devilish intent, as one could say, right? But
what's
yeah.
the thing that makes you unhappy?
when my dad forgets my name.
You
That's
walked
fair.
right into that, dog.
All right, Cassidy,
So just like Julian, I have things that make me happy.
a
And
little bit closer to your mic.
me personally, I really like water and math.
I was also gonna say.
I like math.
I
Dude,
do.
she's like so nerdy good. I am blessed.
Go ahead, Cassidy.
Yeah. Okay, so me personally, I like math. Hate everything else, like about like school, like every other subject. ELA. I absolutely hate ELA. I hate history. Well, I don't hate history like in the past, but like history as in like the class and the teacher. I don't like my teacher. I don't have much against my teacher. I just don't
My
like.
teacher teaches
I don't
American history. That's why she
I
doesn't
don't
like it.
the assignments, and I don't like. Well, I like science. It has math in it. Anyway, but like I really like world history. Yeah,
Good deal. Good deal.
yeah.
All right, so I've been anxiously awaiting to hear from the great warrior philosopher.
Oh,
So, Mr. Andrei, first of all, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Having a good week in school so far?
Oh, fantastic.
Good deal. Good deal. So,
Yeah.
tell me, have you had very much chance to think about happiness and what it means to be happy?
I mean, I feel like things that you do that make you happy are. No. But I can answer the question.
Go ahead. Good. So, tell me what it means to be happy. Tell me what it means. Or tell me whether or not you are happy, and tell me some things that you do to make yourself.
I mean, what it means to be happy is just like, that's like trying to describe heat or like warmth without using a word like warmth or heat or, you know?
I know, right?
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, for sure.
So like you get what happy is. I feel like happy is more of a feeling that's like, it's not like constant. It's just like this made me happy. And then there's like comfortable or whatever, and that's like a lot of people be like, oh, I'm always happy. But I feel like that's not true.
No.
you know?
This is exactly what we talked about.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
We talked about this for like an hour.
Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
that's perfect. That's the perfect answer.
All right.
So then, moving on to the second question, like, are you happy?
I mean, I'm comfortable.
Interesting.
'Cause-
That's
'cause
a
happy-
form
'cause
of
happy
happiness.
is a-
Parse that out. No. I see. I like that. I like that you parse that.
Right now, I'm not happy. I'm not mad. I'm not sad. I'm just level. I'm calm.
Yeah. Okay. And then, what do you do to make yourself happy? I mean, besides that. You know?
Did you ask a teenage boy that question? Holy hell.
He makes perfect kicks on the football
So,
field.
tell me that, like, what is the mental process when you know that your kid is happy?
Oh, so we're just skipping past what makes me happy. Okay.
This doesn't make
Well,
you happy?
no, we can go back. We can go.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's
What-
not football.
What was your question? Was what goes through my
What
head
goes through your
Huh?
head? Like,
when I'm kicking a ball,
and
like
you
in a
know you've
game?
done like a perfect job. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I don't. It's awesome.
Yeah,
It's like-
it is. It's
like,
elation.
oh, I
I've
did
seen
that.
I've seen people carrying him on their shoulders
I get
and pure
yeah.
happiness on his face after an incredible play.
I get pretty excited, but I'm also pretty calm. Like
And he's
when it's
Interesting that you're not using the word happiness. Everybody else is using the word happiness to describe these moments for you, but you're not using that word. You have said excited and that it's awesome.
Yeah.
And so is it something that it makes me ask the question, is it something that really makes you happy? Or is it something that you happen to be good at and enjoy?
I mean, well, the thing that makes me happy is like competing, but being the best at it.
Yeah.
But, like,
1000% feel
Without
that.
without being like cocky, but like
Achieving. Yeah.
That's not
Well,
cocky,
the
baby. That's
thing that-
confidence.
yeah, the thing I guess what makes me happy is like competition and being, because like whatever I do, I try to, like, if I'm gonna do something, I feel like I might as well just be the best at it, or at least
Amen
like
to that.
try. So like that's what makes me happy in doing things. It's not like the actual thing makes me happy. I mean, some things are cool, but being the best at it makes, like kicking, like when I do like graphic design, I just when I make videos,
Reaching your
stuff like
potential.
that. Yeah,
Right.
So
Succeeding.
it's
in whatever
mainly
you're
in
doing.
football.
I gotta ask, do you have that same? I'm talking to Sophia. You guys can't see who I'm looking at. When you are on your instrument and you get the perfect sequence of movements on your instrument, like what is the mental process?
Well, that's the thing, and I was actually thinking about this after I stopped talking. Like I don't know. I'm never quite happy with my playing, and there's always something that goes slightly wrong. Because I mean, the violin is such a complicated instrument. There's no frets like there are on guitars. You have to get your fingers in the right positions, like on the dot. There's like a lot of mistakes that can happen in a very short performance. So I've been like making a conscious effort lately to try and feel more proud of my performances, or even just like my practice sessions, like, because it kind of sucks to always hate how you sound when you play, especially if I'm planning to do that for the rest of my life. Like, I don't want to do that. They're like, if I'm just always unhappy. I will say though, because like the way that I view my own playing is so skewed because I've been doing it since I was 2 years old. I know every single thing that could go wrong. I know every one of my flaws when I play the violin. I know what it's supposed to sound like. So I think of it very critically. I think of it very technically. But I do get happiness from seeing how my performances affect other people. I recently played a really, really fun concert at the Kaufman Center. And oddly enough, what made me happy was so I had a very like a really big solo in this piece. Like I was essentially playing a different part from everyone else. And it's a gorgeous piece, incredible. And in that space, it just resonated so well. And I was kind of like I kind of got in my groove. And I looked up to where my best friends were sitting watching, and I saw two of them. Because they're very white. I saw them completely red, like sobbing, like with tissues. And I was like, and I looked at them and I smiled because I was like, oh my God, like I'm making a difference. Like I'm drawing emotions from people. That's what makes me happy. When I can like see, like, because that's also why I hate when people just give me compliments. You know, it's like, you don't know what it was supposed to sound like, you know? Like, and compliments can be so disingenuous.
Well done, Sofia.
Yeah, thanks. I used to tell my mom, like, I used to hate getting compliments. And so my mom would tell me I did an adequate job after each performance because it makes me uncomfortable to get compliments. I feel like everyone's lying.
It's also part of your depression. I mean, people who deal with depression are highly self-critical.
Yeah. So, but being able to see, like, the raw emotions from other people during a performance, that makes me really happy. And seeing a good performance makes me pretty happy.
Julian, you've been waiting very patiently. What did you want to say?
I was also gonna say, I also get very happy with water, but only when it's from my house and it has ice. And
Julian has had us drive to school to bring him water.
I
from the
have
house.
many times.
That you should have refused, and you're indulging it is a problem.
I love water.
Did you bring water for him?
I don't know that we've made a special trip just to bring him water, but he will call and say, as we're picking him up, please bring water for me.
Bro.
I just mean like you can bring like a few like a bottle of water. I don't care about that. But I enjoy working, which sounds kind of weird, but like I would just sit, like, if I was presented with it, I would just sit down and do schoolwork for a while. Cause
Do you
like
have a job?
No.
Imagine.
I'm gonna get one as soon as I turn 14. But I don't know what it is about having, like, just doing work, like, especially math that I understand. That's why math is one of my favorite classes. Because then I just get to like sit in a class for like 30 minutes.
How
and
did
just,
we end up with the two weirdest kids here on the
I
podcast?
know, right? So
I just-
We're talking about
Andre-
kids
Nerds
are
breed
weird.
nerds.
Hold on, Andre, you had a thought.
I was gonna argue with Sophia.
Oh,
so-
go ahead, do
not
it.
necessarily argue. I was.
You've never
gonna
been more ready ever.
I was just gonna talk about how my situation is completely different.
Yeah, we have very different. we have very different situations with string instruments.
Well, I'm not talking
Oh,
about
it's just-
string instruments.
oh.
I'm like you were talking about how you don't like the sound of how you play.
Mm.
I'm like, that's not really what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about, like competition and like getting better and all that stuff. It's like I've made like big accomplishments, but I feel like I always have like room to improve. But it's not necessarily that I don't like what I'm doing. It's just like I'm not really complacent with where I'm at.
So I actually like used to make my wife do, like just whatever I do. It's like I'll start something new and I say I suck at this. I will suck less tomorrow, and she gets so angry at me because like that's I think at a certain point like I can objectively say I suck at whatever this new thing is that I'm trying, but I'm completely interested in trying to like get better, and that's the part that interests me.
Yeah, I was just Andrei was talking about a room to improve. Do you know which room that is? It's a room without.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Okay, Evo, I'm curious. We have talked now for 45 minutes
About happiness.
happiness. And you've actually written a book, literally called
about
The Happiness Curve.
yes.
I thought we already covered that.
No.
Yeah, we already did the
I
ad.
want to know if what you've heard reflects what you've written about. Like, I'm
What I've
assuming-
heard here in this
Yeah, in
podcast.
this
Yes,
podcast.
yes, absolutely to a T. Yeah, it was in basically on macro level. This book was about happiness, and it actually told 72 stories. A lot. It's a giant brick about people who found fulfillment and happiness in one way or another. And they're very different stories, but every aspect of this book was covered here, but each one of us. So yeah, it's too big of a topic, but I think we did spend 45 minutes basically doing a review of my book.
I feel like the happiness curve is the sponsor tonight.
Can I get a discount on the book?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I'd like
that
a
was
signed
gonna be my
copy.
last
Free
question.
one,
Is,
yeah.
is
Yeah.
that book? Are you still working on making an English version of that book?
Yeah, actually,
It's not
I have a translator now that is
All of his books are in Bulgarian.
Yeah, he's translated 4 stories that are my agent's gonna take to London to publishing house and try to engage them to just publish the book in English and translate. I'm gonna do a composite of the 3 books that I've written and not just this one, and have a more readable version of maybe 300 pages instead of gazillion pages. But yeah, that's the plan. And the translation, I'm working on refining it a little bit and changing it. But yeah, that's going to happen this year probably.
All right. Thank you guys very much. We really only have time to talk about one other topic. But like I said, it's got to be slap.
I mean, white people shit. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Black people don't slap each other.
Oh no.
No, you slap a black person, it's gonna be a whole different situation.
Okay. First of all, the question is: have you seen slap fighting? Dana White thinks it will be the next big
White,
thing.
right there in the title. Go ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
Why would someone do this? First of all, is anybody at the table interested in competing in a slap fight?
I'll bitch slap anybody.
No.
I don't know if I'm interested, but if I was gonna compete, I would be the best.
If I get a trophy for like slapping
Not if
people,
I'm in
that
it.
sounds amazing.
Go ahead, Julie.
Let me just say, I don't want to compete. If I had to, I would be horrified. I have seen people been slapped so hard, like the side of their face that they're being slapped on is swelling,
Right.
like big swelling. People get concussions from that. From slap.
Oh yeah, of course they do.
I can't explain how baffling it is that somebody can slap somebody hard enough to get a concussion. Imagine you're just like doing something and some guy robs you without a knife, with just slapping you. They just walk up to you, just wow, and then you're just on the ground with a concussion. You can't do anything.
If they knock me out like that, they deserve it. Like, that's impressive.
They put in work.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know it. That's
It's
just so
super difficult for
scary.
me to watch it, knowing that like the people that are being slapped are like developing like micro concussions or major concussions
By choice.
by choice with no real.
Insurance or
It's not even the practical side of it. It's like talk about being great at something. What are you being great at? Being hit? Like
Well, one of
Being the hitter, I think, is the.
one of the great champions in the light heavyweight division, Will Smith, he
Yes,
claims that
Evo.
it's a legit sport.
Love that.
You know, he is very successful.
He is the reigning American champ.
yeah,
Wait, I have
but
a
he didn't let Chris Rock hit him back.
Yeah, it was just like.
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah, see, that's the part I won't do. You ain't hit me back, bruh.
how is this a sport though? It's just
It's-
literally hitting someone and then
There's
allowing
technique.
them to hit.
Tell me how it's less of a sport than boxing.
Or
Explain to me.
what about hot
Yeah,
dog?
there's
hot
a
dog
sweet
competition?
science in boxing.
Give me one
boxing
reason
is
that
like-
it's less sporty than boxing.
Well,
Stay in one
boxing is
place.
about avoiding
You're not moving.
the greatest boxers are the ones that avoid getting
I
hit.
disagree.
Yeah, no
It's,
shit.
it's
I-
leg work.
I think the
agree?
greatest
Yeah.
boxers are the ones
That's just
who
bad.
Hit
who
hard.
are stupid enough to not only like willingly be hit, but hit hard enough to where it doesn't concern them.
Well, the
Because
light.
that's when you ensue
hit
fear,
harder.
and fear is the ultimate way to win. Because if somebody fears you, then they're gonna be too stunned to do anything. And what is it? Counteractions for yourself.
Go ahead, Evo.
There's so much science in boxing, and there's so much art, and there's geometry to the boxing ring. There's anticipation, understanding where
Mhm.
the punches are coming from. There's a lot of strategy. Floyd Mayweather barely hit anyone. He's
But
the
he avoided.
he
it.
I feel like
avoided
I've seen
because
him
of
hit
his
people.
ridiculous feat
Yeah.
of how he was dancing. Muhammad Ali was a dancer, man.
Yeah.
And he would jab. He wasn't necessarily a very heavy hitter. When he and there's so much clever strategy when he had the Rumble in the Jungle with
Rope-a-dope.
I'm
Yes, yes.
I'm losing my mind.
Have you been slap fighting?
No, the grill guy,
George.
George Foreman.
George Foreman. Versus George Foreman. George Foreman was younger and stronger, so his punches were so heavy that Muhammad Ali knew he was not going to win. So he had his people loosen the ropes, allegedly, on the ring, and he leaned against the ropes and allowed to get hit, allowed the foreman to hit him, and allowed the ropes to absorb the punches. And eventually, the guy got exhausted, and he killed him. So there's a lot of clever in slapping. You're just getting slapped, and then you slap. And there's no avoiding anything. There's no geometry. There is geometry. I apologize. There is geometry, and there's angle. Apparently, that's best. By the way, if we watched the Academy Awards with Andrei and Sofia and Fernando, and I was in shock because in the in memoriam, Will Smith was not included.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sophia.
I think the lack of strategy. I think that's the appeal. Is like it's just two dudes slapping each other. They can't
Yep.
move. They just gotta take it. And I think it is so
It's a mind
like
game.
it's a very simple, But I think
Knock
that's,
your mind loose game.
I listen, and the slap mountain. Oh my god, that place is insane.
I'm sorry, what did you just
Is that
say?
like
Slap
Slap Mountain,
Mountain?
but you
I was
just
like,
get
what the
slapped?
hell is
No,
that?
slap
Slap
mountain. See, I've been on the slap fighting train.
Oh, fuck.
You guys
what?
are late.
No.
The slap
It's- I
fighting
think it's a
train
TV.
has
What's
been
the bruh?
on the tracks.
I mean, obviously, they have a whole fucking league.
Slap Mountain was a life-changing experience watching that.
Oh, God.
It's a bunch of like redneck people living in like the mountains, and there's this little table set up inside a boxing ring. Mind you, they have a boxing ring. They just put a table in the middle, and they just slap the shit out of each other.
That sounds
But-
about right.
But then, but see, this is like there's like people living here, right? It's like a town, and so the families of the people get involved. Like there's people watching from the sidelines, drinking beer, and like the wives of like the men's division people, there's so much like beef between them, and they'll hop over the barrier to try and get involved in the slap fight. It's insane. It's so entertaining, and I truly, it's such a lovable sport. I think something about it is just so American. So like it makes me patriotic when I watch Slap Mountain.
Okay, Sofia mentioned so American. I believe this thing was created in Poland. The slap fight actually was created in Poland.
But we did it better.
And that is a country full of white people.
All right, Cassidy.
Oh, slap fighting sounds pretty interesting, and I would actually like love to just slap people. Like
But
They
have to
hit
be
you back,
slapped
babe.
I know they hit you back.
and
You're
can't
just dipping
avoid it.
out on that part.
Yeah, no, I'm dodging. I'm moving. I am breaking the
You
rules.
can't dodge. You gotta lift
No.
your
I
chin.
make my own rules.
No, and
That's why we ain't got no black people.
can move your
Slap
Listen,
league.
you
Go
know,
ahead.
you know that phrase? It's like this food's so good that it makes you want to slap your mama.
Uh-huh.
It's usually black people saying that, and if you ever did, you would be dead.
Right.
So I feel like having black people on the show would just be so fun.
At a level of danger.
Right. Julie's.
Okay, two things. Number one, I don't regret to inform you that it's dominated by primarily white people.
Gee, shocker. I'm gonna die from that surprise.
I just
Spoiler alert.
want you guys to know that. And also, I'll tell you how you avoid it. How you avoid getting slapped. Just slap harder to where they can, cause they're brain. I'm telling you,
All
I'm
right.
the smartest.
Wait,
This is-
can you backhand in this? Can you give him
no.
a good, you know?
No, it's
No.
like you
Oh,
got.
then
You
fuck
gotta-
off
you
that.
gotta-
No,
open-
there's
you gotta-
no slap worth anything.
You're gonna open palm, and
You know what? I gotta be honest. A good open hander. You get him every time. Did that to your daddy once.
and you also
Didn't you like punch
Also
my
hand
dad
chop.
because he woke you up one time? You like punched him?
I might have swung on him, but I was not conscious. In my defense, I was asleep when that
How do
happened.
you end up?
All right. So this is breaking down. I got to restore some order. Chris, go right ahead.
I am in agreement with Sophia. This is the inevitable conclusion of where fighting sports was going. It's just two people standing in front of each other, hitting each other back and forth until someone either falls down or withdraws.
Oh, you think this is the worst sport? You know there's a napping competitive league? You're not even
No, he
fucking
didn't
joking.
say
It's a
it
real
was
thing.
The worst. He said the worst fighting sport.
No, he just said this
It-
is where it's going. And I was like,
It's-
well, I mean, if napping competitively is like right there, I mean, that's a sport
Well-
too.
I'm not. That's not a competitive fighting sport. I'm talking about fighting sports where
I fight for sleep. bro.
Go ahead, Sophia.
Something about it is almost noble. You know, it's similar to the gun drawn duels of the olden days. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
you settle it. You know, you're having an argument, and you say, okay, I challenge you to a duel at high noon, and they go and they draw their guns and they shoot, and that's it.
I
You
thought
know?
it was Americans like country, man.
Yeah, but guns were so shitty. You'd have shot at surviving that, bro.
Yeah.
I
Well, you
thought
shot.
it
You
was
survived the
weird.
slap.
Swords are
Allegedly,
more
some of them.
civilized.
But I think it's the more the evolved version of that.
I would just like to mention that okay. Sorry, I'm talking bad. You know chess boxing?
Uh-huh.
I want to see chess slaps. I want to see chess.
I don't want to see anybody.
I want to see
get
it so
slapped.
bad. I want to see some guy.
Andrei, before we shut this thing down, or do you have any insight into this whole slap fighting phenomenon?
I've seen it. I think my life is better off after I've seen it. I like the fact that I've seen it. I don't know why someone would do it, except for like I could see myself settling a debate with a slap fighting
Okay,
thing.
I will give you that.
Like if like a duel, I'm like, all right, well, slap me, and then I'll slap you harder.
So I'm curious, as our resident athlete at the table, do you consider it a sport?
Yeah, well,
It's a
I
competition.
don't
It's a
know.
sport.
It is a competition.
Well, then that makes napping a sport.
have
Just
question.
saying.
I don't know. I mean, there's lots of things that are called sports that I don't think should be called sports,
Like
but
what? Professional
Chess?
skipping. What?
I don't think that's a sport.
What about dance? Is that a sport?
I feel like dance is, but like cheer, I don't find that to be as, like, I don't know. Like I've seen some tough dancers in my time,
Thank you. Shout out for
You picked
dancers.
a tough
Right.
answer. You picked
Wow,
tap
well.
dancer, bro.
Yeah.
Don't forget your roots.
It's very
I
taxing.
had
on
a
the body.
dance scholarship.
You have to train like. Some,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think dancing is definitely. I mean, someone could definitely prove me wrong about cheerleading, but I don't know.
it depends on how seriously.
Yeah.
Depends on
Yeah, I
the
feel like
type of
that's-
cheerleading.
Yeah. It's like you go the same for a lot of things. So
Yeah.
I don't know. If someone takes slap boxing, if I feel like once is it a professional sport?
They're trying to turn it into a professional
Once it's
sport.
professional, I'll say it's a sport. But right now, it's a.
It's a group of stupid people.
I know. I would say it's more of a way of living.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
We are literally just at the 1 hour mark, and we were supposed to stop at an hour. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to say thank you to all of my fabulous friends that showed up tonight. I'm going to say thank you to Evo, Fernando, Chris, Meredith, Julian, Cassidy,
Okay, bye, guys.
Sofia, and Andrei. You guys have listened to a solid hour of us talk about just crazy shit on Wednesday Night Express. And I thank you for it. Everybody have a good night.
And be happy.
I'm not gonna have a good night because you don't know my name.